Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Velocity Pete. Today we've got a special episode on content. With me, I have two of my favorite coworkers. We've got Arlen, a visual content manager for Velocity, and James D, our director of brand management. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for being on the show. If you both don't mind introducing yourself and telling me exactly kind of what you do at Velocity and how that fits into your knowledge base of content and really of Amazon in general.
All right. Thank you, Pete, for having me. Again, my name is Arlene Hoja. I am the visual content manager here at Velocity Sellers. I am in charge of the creative team, which will include and does include graphic designers and videographers. And I'm in charge of looking, showcasing, creating guidelines, reviewing, and creating templates for our clients.
Nice. I'm James D, Director of Brand Management for Velocity Sellers. I'm in charge of the brand managers here at Velocity who work directly with the individual brands, brand owners on their overall strategies for Amazon and outside. So, pleasure.
Well, great. Pleasure to have you both. This is
Yeah.
right. Let's get right into
Thank
it.
you.
Talking about content. I like to say a phrase in my videos, content is king. And that really is prevalent on Amazon. You know, really, if you don't have good content, in my opinion, you can't succeed. I don't know if you guys see that as well with your accounts. And Arlen, when you make the content, obviously, it's got to be good. It really needs to speak to the customer. It's got to do a lot of things. Can you talk to a little bit about sort of what it is that you like to make sure that your content has when you are creating it?
Exactly, as you said before, Pete, content, especially in design, is very crucial on the success of the business, because not too many people know, but on Amazon, an average of 83% of buyers buy solely based on images, right? So that's where most of the resources should go, right? Except for advertisement, PPC. So as for the design types, we're going to cover everything. So from the photography, from what images to use, what not to use, what to put in said images, and how to organize and do the branding for your company or any company. And as for the importance of it, and what we want to make sure is to hit some percentages, right? So as I said, creatives in Amazon would increase up to 80% increases in clicks per product, 25% reduction in order returns, up to 75% of customers only trust images rather than reading the text, the description, the details, 25% increase in CTR. So CTR in terms is click-through rate, right?
Mhm.
And that's where we want to strive. We want to hit those numbers. We want to put in the high quality images. We want to put in high quality content, right? And we at Velocity especially want to increase the keywords that we use, not only in the description, but they should be always represented in the images. Whether it is listing images, A+, premium A+, storefronts, brand stories, and more.
Interesting. You said something that really caught my attention. You said something about what images not to use. Is there something that or is there like a guideline kind of you follow when you're creating content saying, I can't do this, like this can't be in an image or this can't be formatted this way? Like what's sort of that? Like can you get into that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So for listing images, right, one of the most important parts of design,
Mhm.
they cannot be under a certain resolution. So the size of those images need to be 1:1 ratio and needs to be above 1000 by 1000 pixels. And why is that, right? It's such a kind of random fact, but it is crucial because if an image or a posting or a listing is below that resolution, you cannot zoom in, see the details, see the mechanics of whatever product you're selling, right? Because that's the feature Amazon implements. So every image that is higher than 1000 by 1000, you can zoom in, you can see the details, and that's why we recommend not to have blurry images. We recommend to have images actually being used. So lifestyle images, images of of the product being used in real life scenarios. That's what people buy. They don't just buy products that look flashy, that look cool, colorful, right? They want to see how that product itself will help their life or improve it at some point or capacity. And that's why having a budget for any business for just for professional photography is key for success.
Yeah. Yeah. And James, I want to ask you, it's based on what Arlen said. Have you made any extreme, different, you inputted some new images or you released a whole new batch of content and you've seen a lot of different, a lot of traction, a lot of more increased sales, increased impressions. Like, do you have any specific examples that you can share that, like, content really drove, like I said, sales and impressions on an account?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of different variables, right? It depends on Arlen and his team does a really good job at the very beginning creating that brand template, kind of following the brand guidelines of the individual clients, but and then kind of tells a story for each module, or each slide, or each image kind of tells that story and progressively moves down. Where ultimately what we're trying to do is at the end, after the potential customer kind of watches or looks at those individual images, we've created a buyer, right? We do the CTR, we've converted a customer. Okay. They'll look at the images, they'll look at the title, and then if they really want to get into more of the granular, then they'll start looking at some of the individual bullet points and so forth. But for the most part, the imagery is gonna convert on a high level. When we do certain changes, we try to I guess put proof in the pudding. So we do a lot of A/B testing, which is a really great feature for brand registered clients. Is we can get in there and do some experiments. Okay, is we could always tell the client, hey, this is going to help conversion, but it's really good to run an A/B test to really back up and have backup, the data to prove it. Okay, and then a good example would be what we're finding is, let's say you have a supplement of probiotics or something like that, showing the actual image of the bottle with the individual product that's in the bottle outside of the bottle in the main image. Okay, that way that's relatable. People can actually see what the contents of inside the bottle is, right? So we can make the bottle a little bit more personable or a little bit more enticing for the individual customer. In regards to experiences or data, yeah, we find it all the time. A lot of the enhancements, whether like Arlen said, is sometimes we get some blurry images, and it's highly recommended to either get a really decent photo shoot of that main product, but shadows or kind of telling the story. Another good example is why just show if you're selling a 1-pack, 2-pack, why definitely have the 2-pack in the main image, right? If that's what the listing is, to really show the variety of this is what you're getting within the product. But a real great example is we have a client that was dealing with a lot of importers, so a lot of product coming from import, and a lot of it wasn't necessarily in a almost like a retail packaging standpoint. They were kind of like a loose poly bag wrapped, and kind of just showing the product outside of packaging was the main image. And it was, when you looked at a search and looked at all the products, kind of a saturated market, it almost looked all the same thing, all the same color. There wasn't really any brand differential at all. So what we did was we asked the client, we're like, hey, do you have actual legit packaging for this? And they're like, yeah, so what we did is listed, kind of changed all the main imagery into the actual retail packaging of the product. And by far, when you do a search, it stands out. Everything else is outside of packaging. You look like everybody else, whereas his package looks like a very, very strong brand, looks like, a well-supported product, which it is. But it's hard to, you don't get warm and fuzzy when you're looking at all these others, right?
Yeah.
You kind of, or it's not relatable.
Yeah.
a lot of customers are so used to, brick and mortar, seeing it on the shelf or going to the store and seeing it. So
Mhm.
making that relatable to e-com side of things, everything is switching to e-com, purchasable online. So you still have to have that continuity from that retail muscle memory to kind of come over into the e-commerce side of things when you're online shopping.
Mhm.
So
And that kind of comes in with the lifestyle images, right? I know in my personal experience, when I would manage brands, I know I always saw that, especially in the A/B test, that the lifestyle images compared to just an image of the product or even like an infographic, it's so much better. Like seeing, like Alvin said, like seeing people actually use the product really, it made me, as a shopper, it makes you want to buy that product more. Yeah, seeing like someone like that. Arlen, you and your team, you guys have capabilities to maybe Photoshop's not the right, but you have the capabilities to create these lifestyle images, right? Like I know, or have any of our clients come to you with like nothing, with no images, and said, "Hey, we need to make, we need images, we need content. Can you help us do that?" You have any examples of that, and have you really seen a lot of success with those images?
100%. And great question, because not everybody does have the budget to have all the
Mm.
images taken professionally by a photographer. Maybe
These
they
photo
have
studios are crazy these days.
photos.
Prices are
I know, right?
skyrocketing. Yeah.
And other companies also have like a huge number of products that they sell, right?
Mm.
We are talking thousands, and having a budget for a photography session for each and every one of those products can be very challenging. However, we did have a few clients before that did have didn't have any images, or had
Mm.
like the blurriest image you can possibly see, right?
Yeah.
We couldn't even present that to Amazon, because when we bloated it out above 1000 by 1000 pixels, it was not recognizable, right? That's how
Mm.
blurry it was. And yes, our designers, wonderful guys, by the way, everyone is very gifted. They have a great set of skills. Yeah, but mostly people that, as mentioned, have a lot of products. They usually only give us one picture. It would be
Mm.
just that product. But what we do here is, if we only have one picture, we try to make the best of it, right? We Photoshop the hell out of it, right? We put it in lifestyle scenarios. We put it in people's hands. We put it in its intended use, right? Just
Mm.
so we can have the customers or potential customers see how that is being used, because we know how important lifestyle images are, even if they are photoshopped.
So I know we talked a lot about the image stack on the listing, the first six or so images that, the customer will see when they come to your page. Where else do you guys really make optimizations to the content? Like what else do you guys do? Like I know there's some other places for these images that you guys make. Like where can we use them? I know there's things like the A plus, which is the sort of the modules underneath the listing. Or maybe you can describe that better for our viewers, more about what A plus is, and same thing with the storefront. I go on stores and I see a lot of images and products like that. And so, where else do we really see the success of good content on Amazon?
yeah, you
Go
can
ahead.
correct me. So yeah, there's quite a few. Amazon's really opening up the door for the UGC side, user generated content. So obviously with this particular platform, content, like you said, content is king. It's not only that, it's the frequency of content, right? So Amazon posting is one area
Mm.
constantly complement your asins, as well as adding dynamic content to your storefront, because they actually live on a link on your store. The individual A plus pages, absolutely. Obviously we mentioned that a little bit prior, but you mentioned a lot of the imagery, right? You're saying that
Mm.
content's king, imagery, but when we create the lifestyles or infographics as well, one of the main benefits of that too is that Amazon's getting smarter today, right? These tools are out there today on being able to rank your content from the images, okay?
Mm.
Which is extremely powerful, right? So you can not only tell the story through imagery, but you can really, you know, Arlen and his team at Velocity are extremely good at telling the story through, you know, buzzwords, keywords that are really going to have that intimate connection. Whether you're trying to be, let's say you have a bag, right? It's a sports bag. Well, we can really get a little bit more granular. What type of sports bag? What is it? What are the uses for it? Besides the imagery and having a whole variety of sports, we can put that in reference. You know, help that out with the individual text, right? The actual copy itself, so it does get ranking. So it's twofold. You're not only trying to tell the story through imagery, but you're also trying to rank through the actual copy itself as well. And kind of putting those two together, I think is kind of where we shine as an organization to really, you know, go towards that. Does it make sense? It's not this robot-y type of content that you see these days. You see it more and more with the AIs generating
So I
a
was
lot
about
of.
to say, yeah, the AI really
Yeah,
comes in, I feel like,
it's
to
a
place
constant
there.
battle, you know,
Yeah.
and it's hard to relate to that as a buyer, as a potential customer, right? You're reading it and you're like, it really doesn't make really a lot of sense, right? So we try to make it personable, but also rank at the same time, right?
Yeah.
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 And also just to add on that, when we do make image tags A+ brand stories, we don't just copy what we see on the description and just replicate it 3-4 times, right? We do have a strategy, a very simple strategy, but it works. What it is for the image tags, what we usually do is for the main image, 85% of the space should be the product, right? Other images are always designated to something, right? You don't just want to see an image and not understand what this is about, what story that specific image is saying, right? And that's why we break those down. For example, on the 6 images that you mentioned at the beginning, one can be the main image, other can be features block, the other dimensions, lifestyle block, or even you can add about us section. Talk about your brand, talk about your company, tell the customers who you are, where you come from, where the idea for that specific product came. And also for, as James mentioned, for the A+, if you don't have enough space for the in the image tags to add all the information or the specifics or the variations of that product, you can always go back A+, put your product dimensions there, put about the company, put how many colors that product have, how many variations, where that product can help you in your daily life, or just as a decor piece, how it would look like in your home, and more. And if Amazon really does give you all the tools, even for startup businesses, right, James? Even for startup businesses, it does let you tell the story of your own brand. For example, they did add brand stories, which is actually a very good tool just to see for a day-to-day customer to see where they are spending the money, right? Who they're putting that money onto, right? What company, what's their end goal, and more. And other aspects like storefronts, Amazon posts are very key. And as James said, Amazon posts alone aren't enough to stay competitive on Amazon. However, using it along PPC or pay-per-click campaigns is a great way to boost sales and visibility.
Yeah, I actually was going to go right into that next, about using your content in ads. You know, I see a lot of ads as a shopper where I type in something and there's a video that pops up on the search results page, or there's a nice big image, or there's a headliner shot of the storefront. Do we see a lot of success? Also, similar, James, you might be able to speak to this. Do we see a lot of success more from maybe those video ads, so much more than we do from like an image, just a simple image ad? I
Absolutely.
know the customers. Yeah, I know the customers.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm gonna cut you off right there. Yeah,
No, take it.
absolutely. It's not just your standard commercial, right? Where it's just a voiceover. Arlen and his team, what we do is we do embed some of that, what we possibly classify as B-roll, into enforcing slides, informational slides that come in. A lot of people have their, you're sitting there at work, or you're at a show or something, and you're looking, you see the ad, your volume's down, right? So you do have that informational slide and kind of engaging, bullet points, swinging in and out, making it real dynamic. Back to kind of the tools available too, that it's just not this willy-nilly type of scenario where it's like, oh, this will be good for that. We do look at the brand analytics. We do look at the business to business reporting of, if we're noticing there's an influx of sales coming in certain sectors, right? We can cater the imagery to those sectors. So when we do come up with an A/B test, or we want to add this into the storefront, we're able to say, hey, listen, we're seeing a noticeable increase in schools for this particular product. Let's build a lifestyle with maybe a school in the background, or someone in a classroom setting, right?
Yeah.
That way we're adapting to the data that we're seeing that Amazon's providing us, and being able to get a little bit more intelligent with what we're creating and how we're creating that. But then, and this also could be used for the different imagery for advertising, right? If we want to set up different campaigns and target those certain demographics, or geolocations, or whatever the case is, we can use that data. Usually the brand management, kind of analyzes the data that they see, work with the advertising team on, hey, we're thinking about doing something like this. And then we work with Arlen's team to get that created, or to see if there's a resource there that the client has, and say, hey, do you have lifestyles on this particular image that we're kind of looking for? If not, we can potentially, if it's worth it, potentially kind of cater to that market with some of the imagery that we have available to us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did not even realize you could differentiate stuff by, schools and like the B2B side, so like that. I know
It's amazing. It
like the
absolutely is.
889 form. Yeah.
Yeah, as
I
long
think there's like
you
the
have your pricing set up for
yeah,
B2B side, you can really get granular, and even brand analytics. You're able to see complementing products. You can see what people add to basket, add to their cart along with your product, so you can do a lot of more targeted focus advertising that way. There's so many. I'm sure we'll talk about the average. We'll have advertising on another casting, but there's a lot of strategies that we work with on Arlen's team in regards to the creative side, standpoint. Even as far as getting real dynamic with some of the imagery that is
yeah,
really engaging. Amazon's opening up these cool little tools, and again, it's staying ahead of that. We're so in it every day. These features come to us, we test the features. Is it impactful?
yeah,
Just like kind of what Arlen was saying in regards to the tools that we have, the progression, right? Image stack, brand story, A plus, right? And the reason
mm-hmm.
why you want all three of those, well, obviously you have to have all three. Well, you don't have to, but the ultimate end game is a game, right? Amazon levels up. You level up by, once majority of your products have A plus and brand story attached to them, all of a sudden this, when you go into A plus, you've leveled up, and now you qualify for premium. Okay, so there is, it's
We can
just
also
like a
add some
game.
numbers into that. So for an
There you go.
average A plus, right? Even if it is a simple A plus and it is a proven stat, it can bump your sales up to 9%, right? Just for the A plus. And when you potentially unlock the premium A plus after a year and 15 other A pluses that you did, that premium A plus can increase your sales up to 20% this time. And this is confirmed by Amazon themselves.
Wow.
But they will never confirm or deny that statement.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about A plus premium as actually its whole section really. I know that was something they not so much rolled out recently, but it's within recent years, But I wanted to talk about sort of how you get qualified for it. I know there's some requirements. I know like having a brand story is one of them, and there's a few other things, but
They are getting more lax
oh,
on
good.
qualifications, because back in the day, it used to be only available, used to be a paid service. I don't know if you're aware of that. It used to be a
I was not.
very expensive feature I can't remember the numbers, but I think it was a couple thousand a month that you had to pay Amazon for it. Then it got adopted into Amazon Launchpad, which is now fizzled out. They're pretty much throwing that away, or integrating that into other tools within Amazon, which is almost like your Shark Tankers would be a part of the Launchpad type of program, which you get the premium, you get information about the brand or about the owner. So a lot of this engagement. And then there's, obviously with the qualifications, depending on the size of catalog, you basically have to have the first instance for us is the most impactful is if you do have a very large catalog and your end game is to get premium, what we recommend and typically what we do is almost like a catch-all A plus. Okay. Something that we can generate, design real quick, relatively quick, still impactful, right? Just like kind of Arlen said, you're still increasing your statistics on conversion, but it might be not as focused as you want to be in premium, right? So then you kind of create that A plus for everything. Load it so all ASINs get touched. The brand story, you can spend a little bit of time on the brand story. It's almost like a mini story, obviously about the brand, but you can link it to storefront, which is very
and then there's you can do things like you can cross sell your products too. So like if you have a bunch of different products, you can put that in the carousel, like on a module. It's like, oh, you like this? Like check out our best sellers or check out more about us.
Yeah, and it's
on
really
the brand
fast.
story, right? That's kind of
not a lot of development. There's not a lot of design elements to it. It's pretty simple. Because when you put in the ASIN for the product, it automatically again pulls in main image. So this is where the main image comes into play, right? Making sure you have really solid main imagery, have that brand story, and then you kind of wait. It says about a year, but we've seen it way faster. We just did a sweep. We typically look at it on a weekly basis because you never know. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this leveled up, this client leveled up. So it's like, it works. Then we can take deeper dives, really get into, because then those modules in A plus premium are a lot more interactive, hover over, carousel sliders, individual video, multiple individual videos. The product comparison is just a lot more in depth. Q&A section, which is phenomenal. We can either, if the client has that, great. If not, we can pull straight from Q&A from the actual listings themselves. So the common asked questions, again, all crawled, right? It's all, you get that juice, right? And the product comparison is one feature that a lot of what I see a lot of people just don't do, which is crazy because that's one of the only ways to cross promote ASINs within your catalog without running a promo.
Yeah. Well, brand story is also required for A plus. I think is that one of the requirements you need to get A plus premium is to have a brand story and like 5 or maybe it's 15 now. Like I said, they're getting more lax with it, but
it used
I
to
know
be. It always changes, right? It used to be 15 brand stories and no A plus.
Pay for it.
It used to pay for it. As of the time of the recording, I think it is just you have to have 1 year, which isn't really a set amount of time because I've seen brands get it earlier. 15 A plus modules, not specific. So when they say modules, you can have like 7 modules per product. So like 15 of those into 3 products, which can unlock it after a year. But yeah, and I 100% agree with James. It is a very important milestone for any brand to be unlocked like Premium A plus, especially for those brands that have a huge catalog of products, right? Because you have modules there they can split into brands. So if you're a huge supplier, right, you sell different stuff. You're not set to one category of products and you want to sell a lot of accessories or tools or a combination of both. You can have individual brand sections for what you sell. You can have individual video sections of the videos or lifestyle videos or how to use videos of the products that you sell or the brands that you sell. And that's why, like in the beginning, I assume that's why Amazon pushed it to be paid, because it's such an important feature. And if you have thousands of ASINs, thousands of products, you can apply that premium A plus to all of them within a second, right?
Yeah.
And you don't really have to go to each and every one of those and create a customized or custom A plus for those products. You can just apply the one that you did, and it applies to all. And it really is interactive. It's like a mini website per se at the
It is.
bottom of the page, right, James?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
You have
That
buttons, you have interactive
Yeah.
features, sliders. You also have modules, like 3 different modules for, as James said, for comparison charts themselves, right? And if I'm not mistaken, you also have around 25 different modules, period, right? That you can
Mhm.
choose and customize. So by Amazon letting us having those features, no 2 premium A plus look the same, right? You can customize it
Wow.
as you wish, and you can add more modules than the standard one.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about like what kind of
Yeah,
things you
go on.
guys incorporate into your A plus premium. I know there's like you can put like the Q&As, you can put a video in there. It's going back to, videos being super important, converting more than images. So it's
Exactly.
crucial to have that. You can't do that in regular A plus. So interesting.
And there are
So
also three types of video modules just
yeah.
for those products, right? You have full video, the
Yeah.
one that with the full width. You have a half and half section, one half with the video, one explaining what's going on into the video, and that is SEO compliant, because those are keywords you can put there. You also have for the video section alone, you can have, like, for one slide you can have 6 videos, which is, in my opinion, awesome, right?
Yeah, that one's my favorite. I
And
really,
it really is. It really
yeah,
is.
you can tell. It the level up is definitely more of the dynamic widgets. It's more sticky, right? It's kind of what Arlen was saying. Heck of a lot more sticky, and it's definitely video heavy, right? It's really video heavy. That's
Video
what
heavy,
converts.
lifestyle image heavy,
Yeah,
product heavy. We can
yeah,
also have like some like one image with a few hotspots here and there where you can
yeah.
click and just see more
Mm.
details about
Yeah, I've seen those.
the product that it says.
Hopefully it's shoppable. Hopefully they'll make a shoppable image. That would you could do that on
Hopefully.
the storefront, but you can't. There's not that feature is not
Not on A
available
plus
yet on
yet.
premium.
Interesting.
We
Yeah.
mentioned that to Amazon. We'll see if they listen in the future.
So talking sort of about A plus premium, I know from what my understanding recently was that the approval rate is usually Amazon will send out not so much an approval email, but they'll say, hey, you qualify for A plus premium, and those go out about once a month. I now saw that it was changed to every Friday. So like James, like you were saying, it gets people access to it quicker. It's less of a hassle to get to it. Is there anything else required? I know we talked about there's a brand story and you need what was it, 5 or 15 approved A plus modules. So this is really, I mean, this is great, right? Even for small sellers, right? I mean, like, do you guys have any partners that before maybe wouldn't be able to get qualified for A plus premium, but now that these changes have been made, it's easier for them to get to it, and even the smaller guys can really get access to this stuff.
Yeah, it's just constantly changing, man.
Hmm.
It's hard to say. I don't want to say it's one thing. Typically, it's you have to have it on a certain amount of SKUs
Hmm.
within your catalog at a certain time frame. Like Arlen was saying, 15 modules or
Hmm.
whatever the case is. Uh, it's I think it's category specific. To be honest with you, I have a new brand. We have a new brand that we onboarded. They've got 3 SKUs. Within 30 days, they powered up to A plus premium, right? So I don't know if they're constantly, and I don't know if anybody saw this the other day. Actually, it was 2 days ago. There was no A plus on Amazon, so just
Cool.
I think it was a glitch for about 3 or 4 hours. I'm not too
Wow.
sure. I could either confirm or deny that. But yeah, it was. So I think they were constantly updating it and trying to figure out what they're doing on to that as well.
Exactly.
It kind of makes sense now why they would why they would charge you for all this. I mean, this is just a really easy
Exactly.
way to give information to the customer and increase their confidence level, which is kind of what I wanted to ask about to you both next. Like where do you see the content really helps? I mean, I guess it kind of all factors in with all the lifestyle images, all the infographics, all that kind of stuff. But how big of a factor do you think content is to someone's or specifically a shopper's confidence level? Is it really all of it? I've heard a lot of phrases like besides content is king, but I've heard people on Amazon, they shop with their eyes. And I think we talked about this already, but they don't, they're not
Exactly.
really so much reading the bullet points like you kind of said earlier, James, but they're shopping with their eyes. So this A plus premium. It really is. Sounds like it's the pinnacle of content on Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the example is a couple of things. Put yourself in just as you were shopping. Okay.
Mhm.
But listing A versus listing B. Okay. Listing A, kind of a blurry image, add a package, no lifestyle,
Mhm.
title simple, bullet points, maybe one bullet point, um, paragraph, not even a paragraph, just one sentence bullet point, right? Nothing else. Okay. So you look at that and you're like, oh, okay. No storefront. Okay. There's
Mhm.
no other major branding to it. Then you go to listing B, image stacks, full blown image stacks, 6 of them with a nice video or two, full title. The descriptions are very in-depth descriptions. A plus. It's got a great storefront. Now, what would you feel more comfortable in purchasing? Right.
Mhm.
So that's making it relatable to how shoppers today are so more particular, right? They want it. They want the product in the next couple of days. That's why Prime
Mhm.
is Prime, right? But also they want to be able to feel real comfortable on making sure that that purchase is what they're going to get, right? The customer service behind it as well is extremely important. I'm sure we'll talk about that on another day, but yeah, it's the complete package, the complete presentation
Exactly.
that tells the story, and that's where Arlen and his team really get. They tell the story from, like I said at the beginning,
And
that whole path to conversion, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
There's
just
nothing
to add to that,
going.
James,
Yeah,
just to add to that, when you shop online, so being an e-commerce store and selling your products on Amazon, people don't touch your products; they just see, and that's why Pete, you asked the question why people buy with their eyes, because it's
Great
not
point.
a physical store. When you have a physical
yeah,
store, you go to it, you touch it, you see if the
Yeah.
quality is on par, you see if anything rattles, and you can't really do the same things while shopping online or e-commerce or Amazon this case. And that's why reflecting all the features, all the use cases, all the ports, all the sizes, and having lifestyle images and those details, as I mentioned before, reflected in the images themselves
Mhm.
will help the customer or potential customer go into the decision of actually buying that product.
yeah,
And that's all everywhere where you buy stuff for the first time, right? You buy it because your eyes like it, and you think the branding is premium branding, and it just gives you that trust, that confidence into the product. And once you have it and you're happy with the product, then you rebuy it without looking, right? But that's the key point of the design on Amazon, to get those potential buyers, those
Hook.
first time
You got to
buyers,
bring
to
them
hook
in.
them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was going to also talk about, James, you just mentioned branding. Before we get too quick off of the A plus premium, I also wanted to talk about the approval rate before we even get to that. Branding, I mean, when you sell a product, you're not just selling the item, you're selling your brand, especially like Arlen, like you said, like when you're online and you can't interact with the store, you can't get what do the kids say? You can't get the vibes from like the actual
The
physical
vibes.
store. You have to get it from the images. You got to get it from the content. So if you could talk a little bit about sort of
yes,
the branding, sort of where you see success in making sure, like James, like kind of like you said earlier, like with the listings, the two listings, the one that doesn't have a storefront, that just has, simple images, simple title. Not only do I not trust that product, I don't really trust that brand either. So would you say content is really crucial for just building a brand on Amazon, especially if you're
yeah,
not
absolutely.
an existing seller?
It's like
Yeah.
anywhere, right? I think
Yeah.
building a brand itself. I think a lot of the mindset back in the day, just get a product and sell it on Amazon as a widget, right? I think the Amazon's, you know, still a big portion of Amazon's business, of course, right? But now what people are, you know, these entrepreneurs or these new type of business models, Amazon's really catering to, right? They have Amazon brand registry, so they're really protecting you through counterfeiting or IP violation, trademark violations, or anything like that. So protect your brand, right? So they've got tools. Transparency program is another. So you are getting a lot more tools to protect yourself, to protect your investment, right? You're talking long term, right? Strategies rather than these quick hits in and out. You know, more and more people are going to be tied to that recurring revenue type of mentality, right? Creating an established brand, so forth and so on. And the tools are, you know, brand tools on Amazon are ridiculous. Brand analytics, add to cart, demographics, so forth and so on. Those all tie into the whole picture, the whole story, right? Are there just Amazon only brands? Yes. There's brands that are just solely for Amazon. Okay. Now it could be that they have a successful brand off of Amazon that's in a strong distribution market, right? It's in Costco. It's just, you know, it's in big retail. Okay. Hard to control price, right? Because it's already been out there. They basically, some brands create a Amazon only brand of that particular product. That way there's no competition out there in the marketplace. It kind of gives it its own kind of life cycle, life path available. Now, there's others that, you know, some of the smart ways to do it is creating 2-pack, 3-pack, 4-pack type of scenarios on Amazon, right? People want to buy, you know, to get the better value towards your bottom line, as well as the client, you know, the customer getting a much better kind of product assortment, right? So yeah, there's a lot of different features out there that Amazon's giving us the ability to, and then, you know, obviously Arlen and his team really kind of, well, like ultimately it is the, you know, Amazon gives us the canvas, but, you know, we have the artists to really portray, and that's where the partnership comes into play too. I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but the client and Velocity are have to be one, right? You know, just an extension of that brand, right? So we're just trying to enhance it. But what we notice a lot of is the brand image that we create on Amazon. They take that and use that brand image off of Amazon because it's so solid.
That's what I was gonna kind of get to next. Was really the kind of like, you know, where else is this content? Like, is this content viable? Or viable to use off of Amazon? Like, Arlen, do you think that, you know, the content you create is solely like, can you only use that for Amazon? Like, do you think it's Amazon focused? Like, or would you think that this is possible to use? I know we talked about posts a little bit and how, you know, you can use that stuff. I know a lot of companies will just, I see it on, you know, companies I follow, they just really reuse their Instagram posts for Amazon. But do you think they could take, if a post was, an image was made specifically for an Amazon post, could you then take that to another social media site like Instagram? And
Wonderful question.
How does that content help you build your brand off of
understand.
Amazon, not just on Amazon?
So definitely, to answer your question, what we do, especially at Velocity, we are very, very brand focused. As we mentioned before, when we have let's say, a well-established brand outside of Amazon and they want to do their debut on Amazon. Maybe they have like thousands and thousands of dollars of sales on their own website, and they want to see what's up with the other part of the world, right? And what we do as a team and what all the graphic designers are instructed to do is to follow the client's existing brand guidelines. What does it mean? So when we look at their Instagram posts, when we look at their website posts or website itself, we want to see their logos, we want to see their fonts, and we want to take those colors, take those fonts, take those key features that make that brand who they are, and apply those into Amazon. We do the listing images with those fonts, with those colors, with the logo, A+ posts, brand stories, everything if you're a first time buyer and you see it, you really feel that premiumness and that effort put into making everything so synchronized, so unique in a way.
Yeah, James, like you said, it kind of feeds into the brand continuity. Make it like,
Exactly.
oh,
Yeah.
like you're saying, like everything is unified across everything,
Yeah.
so that if someone sees your
Exactly.
brand, on a commercial, like on a commercial or on like an ad online, and then they find you on Amazon, it's like, oh, I remember these guys. Helps keep them in their mind. Yeah, yeah.
And to answer your question, yes. So once we do that, they can seamlessly use those Amazon images, Amazon listing images, A plus brand stories or posts, and apply them to their own website, to their own Instagram posts, and people would not look like it's out of place. It does not feel out of place because we are so careful in using brand guidelines and applying those brand guidelines into our own client base.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And I also, I was about to say, I know Amazon's a little more strict with some of their image guidelines and what you can and cannot use, as opposed to maybe Instagram, where you can kind of almost post anything.
Exactly.
I don't want to say that, but
Well,
It does
but
have
online
some
in general,
restricted terms. So
yes.
when James did talk about the AI, we talked
Mhm.
about how it indexes what we wrote on the images. It also looks for restricted terms as well. And every seller on Amazon should know at least a few of those restricted terms, like let's say my product is better than this product, right? Or my brand is better than this brand. You cannot compare your brand to other
Yeah.
brands on Amazon. You cannot
Hmm.
claim something that you don't have documentation for it. So if you
Hmm.
say this is 100% organic, right? You can't say that unless you have what 100% documentation that says that your product is organic, because Amazon is going to go and ask you for those documentations, because
Hmm.
it is very advanced. The AI is very advanced. It catches those things. It catches those trademarks. You can really use trademarks or website links in Amazon posts or Amazon listing images. Even if it is embedded in the logo, you kind of need to remove it. You kind of need
Yeah.
to restructure your idea on posting, right, or posting the
I
listing
know
image.
Amazon doesn't like your images sending people off of Amazon. So I
Yes,
know that definitely is
exactly.
not something you want to include in there.
and then when we
Yeah.
met with Amazon a few weeks ago, and we talked with a lot of their team, they're constantly changing things. They're constantly adding enhancements, improvements, giving Arlen and his team some great tools to play with and beta test, and testing all these individual things. Like we were talking about being relatable or having that intimacy through imagery. Man, they've got augmented reality now, where you could actually
Mm.
slap that it if you're selling a sofa, you can put it into your own house and see what it looks like, right, before you buy it. If you've got picture for your wall, you can you can slap it up on the wall and use augmented reality to actually see it on your wall. So pretty
Wow.
crazy stuff,
Yeah.
that I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. As these tools come available and we start moving more and more into a digital age,
Mm.
where you've got, Meta and all this other stuff happening in the future. Things are going to be a lot different here in the next 10 years on
Yeah.
e-commerce. It's going to be it's going to be it's going to be all imagery based.
Mm.
Like Arlen said at the beginning, people are buying images. They're not necessarily, of course they're buying the product, but ultimately the image is converting, right? The story is converting. So we're just here to help facilitate that brand story and really help convert them into the next level, right? Into the next
Yeah.
purchase. Um,
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. And I actually kind of wanted to wrap up talking about that, like the next steps and some of the things that Amazon's sort of rolling out. And I know no one really knows what's going on over there in Seattle. But it's crazy. Some of the stuff I've seen already, that they've done sort of, I believe it's with AI. If an image or an item, sorry, if an item has customization available for like different colors, so if someone types in green tumbler and a tumbler's listing, its main image is black, Amazon will actually change the main image to green on the search results page. So it's just, I mean, that's just one of the things I'm sure they're rolling out on top of a million others. And James, like you said, in 10 years, who knows what, content will be available to us to use, us creators on Amazon, and sellers in general that people can get out there and really take use of. It's insane. They've already, and I'm sure, 30, 20, or not 30, but 20 years ago, A plus premium wasn't even a concept. That was just something they were like, what if we did A plus an upgrade? So it's the rapid changing is really something to look at, and make sure, obviously, you want to stay on top of the wave, of content that comes
It's
out.
all
Make sure
because
that
of
you
Arlen's.
are, yeah,
It's all
yeah,
because of Arlen's.
yeah.
Ever since we came to Velocity, we saw A Plus Premium come in. We saw some extra tools and enhancements. So I don't, I don't know. I think we've got a secret weapon that a lot of people don't know about. So
Hats off to
Thank
Arlen.
you, James.
Watch out for your inbox. We're making some headhunters in there. Saying, hey, you should come to us. We saw this cool podcast. So, so before we go, Arlen, just one last question for you. What do you, as a designer, what do you recommend to brands that are just starting to get out there, just starting to actually make their first images for the first time? What do you, not even just for Amazon, but just in general, like, what do you think they should do? What are some tips you can give them to really help their content succeed in the e-commerce space?
Some tips that I would give new brands on Amazon would always be starting from images. Invest
Mm,
in images, invest in proper branding, look at competitors. Like that's the easiest way for a new brand just to see where they're at. Look at the competitor and see what you can do better, right?
mm,
Try to beat the competitors at least at the design stages of things, because that really is something that people will buy into, right? They will buy into those images as we discussed before. Use the same colors, use the same design language, use the same style across all the images, not just the listing images, but the A plus, brand story, storefront, premium A plus, videos even. Use the same fonts, use the same style. Try not to overdo it. Try to be clean, precise, and also tell the customer how they're going to use that product
mm.
and show them with the images how that is going to improve their lives.
Yeah. And James, just to sort of give you a final question as well, where do you see, I mean, we talked a lot about brand continuity, making sure everything is unified. Can you give us some final thoughts on just how strong, how important it is to really get that brand awareness and brand strength up, and using, and how, how people can use their content to do that?
yeah, that's your competitive edge, right? Is
Mm,
having that brand continuity, consistency across multiple platforms. But not only that is kind of what Arlen said, is having that representation.
mm,
What are your competitors doing, and do it better, right? And I think that right there is a it will give you plenty to really look at. When you're saying, "Hey, why isn't my sales performing?"
mm.
Look at what your competitors are doing. Look at the most successful ones in the top 20. Look how they're portraying their product imagery, right? What does their brand look like? And if you're not even close, then don't expect to get that close until you
Uh,
change. Until you change.
yeah. They must be doing something right to be at the top 20. So,
Hey,
um,
use them as your test. They've
yeah.
carved the path, right? They just didn't
Yeah.
willy nilly it, right? They've been on, so a lot of cases, have years and years of history on Amazon. They've tested things, they've tried different things. So whatever
Trial and
they
error.
have, that means that they've tested it and it works.
Yeah.
So why try to create the real? Put it into your brand. Obviously different lifestyles, but the stories, everybody can have a similar story, right? It just
Mm,
really depends on, ultimately is the overall experience that someone will have with the product, and even to a point where it's about the packaging when you get the product, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole different segment, is to talk about product packaging, because that goes way far.
Exactly. In a nutshell, sell your brand, not your product.
Yeah,
there it is. Yeah. I know we talked about that too, is that, when you
yeah,
sell that product, you're also selling your brand, and the content really is the face. It really is the face of your brand.
it is. It
So
is.
it's important to really have that in content. Truly, I say this a lot, but it's true. Content is king, and it really drives everything on Amazon. All of your important KPIs, all of your important metrics, it's all of them are backed by how good your content are.
Yep.
So Gentlemen, this has been a very great discussion on content on Amazon. So I thank you both for joining us. This has been Velocity Pete with the Velocity Sellers Podcast. Thanks, guys, again for coming, and we'll see you next episode.
Thanks, Pete. Appreciate you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Arlen.